This is video 2 on for project 4, creating a bitmapped landscape with 3 colors. So today, what we're going to do is focus on bitmapping our 3 images that we picked for this project. So what we're going to do next, you want to make sure that your image has a lot of tonal values. You don't want to use an image that's really flat, especially in the sky area. If you're doing a rural landscape, you don't want the sky really flat because you're not going to get much going on there as far as the bit mapping is. So you want to make sure that, and you can see in this image, there's a lot of dark areas against light areas. So there's a full range of values, and this image is going to be a pretty good candidate for doing a bitmap. So what we want to do first is go to image, and you want to make sure that your image is 16 bits. Or I'm sorry, you want to make sure your image is 8 bits. 16-bit will not work. So if there's an issue with you not being able to bitmap the image, you just want to make sure that 8-bit channel is selected. And what I'm going to do next is select bitmap. You want to make sure that your input, it should be 300. We're using 300 pixel images, no 72 pixels. That just creates a really poor quality image. So our input is 300 pixels. Our output should be the same. It should match that. And then we're going to select halftone screen. Then click OK. And then we get another dialog box that says halftone screen. In the first box here is the frequency. The frequency is how many dots are going to be on the image per inch. In this case, I selected it really low, just for an example. Your angle is 45. I don't think it really matters when you're using a dot, whether it's 45 or 90, but just make sure that that is set to 45. You'll also notice in the shape, with this project, we're all using round. Make sure round is selected. There is other options that you could use, diamond, ellipse, line, square. Feel free to play around with those if you like. They all work really well with screen printing. They basically just create a black area and a white area only on the film. So when you expose the film, the light's not going to pass through the black areas, and it will actually, the light will pass through the areas that are open or white. The emulsion hardens on the light areas, but the dark areas, the emulsion stays soft, so it blows out. If you can remember when we did our 8x10 template, how that worked. So make sure you select around. And as an example, I'm just going to show you 15 frequency. It's going to be fairly big, so you can see that it's very graphic. If I were to zoom in here really, really close, and I were to count these dots, I would see that there's 15 dots per square inch, or per inch. So this is a bit graphic, so I probably wouldn't use 15. I would go back and just undo bitmap, and then you could kind of play around with using different frequencies. With the screens that we're using, they're 230 mesh count. That means there's 230 threads or spaces in between the threads that allow ink to go through. So a good way to calculate how far you could go on frequencies, you would divide 5 into 230. That would let you know how many the largest frequency that you could do. Keep in mind you only do multiples of 5, so it could be 5, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 45. So, but also the higher the dots, the harder it is to print because the ink wants to dry and the smaller dots. So if the frequency is rather low, you're going to have easier time printing. Yeah, a good frequency to use is 35, 30, 25. In some cases, 15 may work depending on the image that you're using. So let me go ahead and try 20, or let's try 25. And you'll see that the image starts to get a little bit more photographic. I always look at the image at 100% to make sure that I'm seeing it properly, because if it's at an odd number like 16.3, it's not going to really look right because the screen is actually scanning the image to try to read it. So it starts to look a little crazy at a smaller, when you're looking at it at a bit smaller. So this looks pretty nice, not too bad. I can go back and undo, and let's try 40 or 45. The higher the number, the more photographic it looks. So let's choose that, and then let's just go to 45. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think that the 230 mesh screens will go up to 45. And again, look at it, and you'll notice, I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but you can see these little squares here. That's because the monitor can't scan those dots. So I would look at them a little closer. In most cases, I look at 100%. And you can move around and see, what it's going to look like. If it doesn't look very detailed, and then choose another image. Don't really be settled on one image because you like it and it doesn't work. Try to choose an image that works. It's helpful to have, I guess, if you can get one that works and one that you like, and that would be the thing to shoot for. But there you have doing the bitmap. So play around with the different frequencies, play around with all three images, and see what you could come up with. On the next video on Monday, I will be posting how to do the layers and how to put the colors underneath the image.